In Hollywood, the winner is Anthony Quinn.
He died far from the bright lights of Hollywood, in a quiet hospital room in Boston. Pneumonia had stolen his breath, but it was throat cancer that slowly dimmed the voice once so rich, so commanding it could shake both mountains and men. He had been many things: boxer, preacher, sculptor, Oscar-winning actor, but in the end, he was a father with 12 children, a lover of color and form, and a man still searching for belonging. Born in Mexico, raised in poverty, and buried in the soil of Rhode Island beneath a maple tree he loved, Anthony Quinn's life was a journey of continents, cultures, and contradictions. He was celebrated, misunderstood, worshipped, and forgotten. Yet in every frame he left behind, there's a flicker of something eternal. This is not just a story about a death. It is about a man who lived louder than life. If stories like this move you, consider subscribing to remember the ones who shaped the world, even as the world tried to silence them. He was born Antonio Rodolfo Quinn, Oaxaca, on the 21st of April, 1915, in Chihuahua, Mexico, during the turbulence of the Mexican Revolution. His father, Francisco Quinn, was of Irish and Mexican descent and reportedly rode with Pancho Villa. His mother, Manuela Oaxaca, gave him his second surname and the strength of survival that would carry him across borders and eras. As a child, Anthony's life was defined by displacement. His family fled Mexico and settled in the barrios of East Los Angeles, where poverty pressed hard against the promise of the American dream. He grew up in Boyle Heights and Echo Park, neighborhoods teeming with immigrants, artists, and struggle. He dreamed of being a priest at 6, played the trumpet for a traveling evangelist by 11, and bought for money before he had a diploma. School did not hold him long. He dropped out to help his family survive, working odd jobs at slaughterhouses on street corners, even as a butcher. But destiny intervened when he won a scholarship to study architecture under the legendary Frank Lloyd Wright. It was not blueprints that captured him, though. It was language, gesture, expression, emotion. Acting came to him not through ambition, but as therapy after jaw surgery. And once he found the stage, he never looked back. From the margins of both Mexico and America, Anthony Quinn was already beginning to shape a voice that would belong to no one nation and to every man. Anthony Quinn's rise in Hollywood was slow, uneven, and often confined by the very identity that made him unique. Starting in the mid-1930s, he signed on as a contract player at Paramount, cast mostly in roles defined by ethnicity: Arab chieftains, native warriors, and outlaws. His towering frame and chiseled face made him ideal for such parts, but they rarely offered depth or dignity. Still, he endured. When many actors were drafted during the Second World War, Quinn, exempt as a Mexican national, seized the chance to step into more substantial supporting roles. That same period brought a pivotal change. He married Catherine DeMille, daughter of famed director Cecil B. DeMille. Though it brought him closer to the circles of power in Hollywood, the marriage was also strained, particularly due to ideological and personal tensions between Quinn and his father-in-law. Yet despite their early conflicts, the two men eventually reached mutual civility. Unwilling to remain confined to background parts, Quinn left Paramount and returned to the stage, where his powerful turn as Stanley Kowalski in A Streetcar Named Desire, replacing none other than Marlon Brando, won critical praise and reshaped his career. It was director Elia Kazan, recognizing the fire in Quinn's performance, who cast him in Viva Zapata as Brando's brother. The role won Quinn the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in 1952, the first Oscar ever awarded to a Mexican-born actor. He followed this triumph with a second Oscar 5 years later, portraying painter Paul Gauguin in Lust for Life, opposite Kirk Douglas. Now a major figure in world cinema, Quinn spent much of the next decade in Italy, taking on complex roles in La Strada, Barabbas, and Attila. His ability to move between cultures and languages became not a limitation, but his legacy. Quinn was no longer just a supporting player. He had become a force. As the years passed, Anthony Quinn did not fade quietly from public view. Even as his hair turned silver and his frame thickened with age, he continued to act with the same fierce presence that had defined his early years. The 1990s brought roles in Only the Lonely, Jungle Fever, and A Walk in the Clouds, where he appeared alongside younger generations, including Keanu Reeves, with whom he formed a quiet, unexpected friendship. But behind the camera, Quinn had begun to slow down. He turned his energy toward painting and sculpture, passions that had once rivaled acting in his youth. Since 1982, his works have been exhibited in major cities, Vienna, Paris, Seoul, earning him recognition not just as a performer, but as a creator in the fullest sense of the word. He spent his final years in Bristol, Rhode Island, living in quiet retreat. There, among trees and sea breezes, he painted, sculpted, and raised his youngest children. His life remained full of family, of reflection, of art. But illness crept in. After a long battle with throat cancer and complications from radiation, his lungs weakened. On the 3rd of June, 2001, Anthony Quinn passed away in a Boston hospital from pneumonia and respiratory failure. He was 86. There was no red carpet, no final spotlight, just the stillness of a man returning to the earth. At the request of his wife, he was buried beneath a maple tree in the backyard of the home he loved, a quiet resting place for a life lived in thunder. Anthony Quinn's legacy is not bound to a single country, language, or medium. He belonged to many worlds and changed each one he touched. In film, he shattered boundaries for Mexican and Latino actors, proving that talent could transcend typecasting, that passion could outlast prejudice. He remains one of the few performers in history to win 2 Academy Awards for Best Supporting Actor and to receive nominations for Best Actor on the strength of raw, unrelenting presence. But Quinn's impact extended far beyond Hollywood. In theater, he redefined iconic roles like Stanley Kowalski and Zorba the Greek with physicality and depth. In art, his sculptures and paintings were exhibited internationally, seen not as side projects, but as serious, evocative works. His voice, deep, rich, unmistakable, carried across generations. From film reels to Broadway stages to the quiet galleries of Europe, his influence also lives on through the dozens of actors he shared the screen with. 46 Academy Award winners, more than any other Oscar recipient in history. And through his children, especially Lorenzo Quinn, who became a renowned sculptor in his own right. In cities across the world, there are lives that whisper, and there are lives that thunder. Anthony Quinn's was the latter, a life that roared with contradiction, color, and conviction. He was not always easy to define, and perhaps that was his greatest strength. Mexican by birth, American by citizenship, global by spirit, he was a man who refused to live within borders, on screen or off. He carved himself into the stone of cinema, not just through roles, but through a relentless belief that identity was something deeper than labels. Whether as a defiant revolutionary, a grieving boxer, or a dancing Greek full of joy and sorrow, Quinn reminded us that to be fully alive is to be unafraid of complexity. In every life lived without apology. If this tribute has moved you, subscribe to our channel. Help us remember not just the legends, but the legacies, the voices that echo long after the final curtain falls.